Thanks for coming over. This is Amodeus, and today's Dungeon Hunter Champion video is going to be a buff, build, or box video around light 4 stars. So, probably next week I'm going to finish up the 4-star series by Element with the Dark. So, I'm really excited to kind of talk about the light ones a little bit because I think there's, first and foremost, I think there's a lot of confusion around these units because some of them are so just amazing sounding on paper, but in application they're just like meh. So I think a great example to start off with is Ilani. She's a 4-star Tiki warrior. I want to jump right into her a little bit. She looks outstanding when you look at her. Her auto power is amazing. Just listen. It's called Tiki Smash. Attacks an enemy with her Tiki can be empowered by Mana Loa to deal damage in a wide circle and have bonus effects on every third attack. Okay? So, doesn't that sound awesome? Like, wouldn't you like to have an AoE attack on your auto attack that when you're critted, it also raises your attack speed, so it feeds into itself even more. Plus, the third attack also has a special ability. That sounds amazing. Her second skill, Fissure, smashes the ground with her Tiki, creating a fissure that deals damage and immobilizes enemies in a line. That's right, she has crowd control. She does AoE damage on her auto attack. She's got crowd control on her first activated skill. Mana Loa, not even her ultimate. This is her second activated skill. Mana Loa calls upon the power of her ancestors, creating an aura that applies 2 stacks of toughness and raises crit and applies the haste buff to herself and nearby allies. While active, every third Tiki Smash deals additional damage to nearby enemies. So that's that every third attack. So now her auto attack has a better chance of being critted. She's on haste. She has toughness. She's super durable. Plus, if she gets critted on, she's going to get more attack speed. Plus, her attacks are doing more damage. Oh, now they're AoE. And she's controlling people to keep them locked down. Sounds just outstanding. Tiki Spin. Spin slowly in a circle while channeling, dealing damage and knocking back enemies while spinning. She quickly accelerates and gains immunity. And she can move while channeling. Come on. Now she also gets immunity? So, that's insane. It sounds so good. The downside is she doesn't do a lot of damage. And as a tank, she doesn't provoke. So she's super sturdy. She gets all these really cool buffs. She does a lot on the screen, but she doesn't finish people. She doesn't provoke people. And in all honesty, the immobilize just isn't enough because it's not AoE. Remember, it's in a line. So when you really think about what you want your tank to do, how many times in any of your... man, I'm trying to think if there's a spot where everybody's in a line. There's no spot where everybody's in a line. I mean, even if you look at the tower, there's nothing, or Ultimate Blitz, I mean, there's nothing really there where everybody's in a line. So, it's, man, if that was a provoke, oh, hands down, she's insane. She would be on the level of Savage. But, unfortunately, this one, man, I really want to give her a build recommendation, but I just don't have a spot where I feel real confident saying like she's worth the resources, which are so limited to begin with. If you have one and you're really like, you're loving her at 6 stars and you're using her all over the place, in the comments below, let me know. Because I want her to be good, but I just haven't found a spot where it makes sense to build her. So I say leave her in your box. All right, next champion, Camile. Let's jump into Camile. If you don't know who Camile is just an amazing, amazing champion. He is by far, one of the best arena champions in the game, because his damage is based on defense. With Rend, he has an immunity, an immunity buff. You betcha. Oh, and he lowers defense, and he provides a stun. Once again, based on defense. So you can build him super tanky, and then you can use him as your defense break, your immunity. His immunity actually is pretty low. Oh man, Camile is so amazing. If you have him, he is a build 6-star. Put him on your defense. I mean, he's so good. Your OH team for OH10, he'd be great for that too if you don't have an immunity unit. Depending on what comp you're running, right? Because I'll be honest, we got the vampire. I built him, and I'll show you at the end of this video. I'll just throw it in there. But first try out with Nature Vampire in OH9, we beat it. So like I said, I'll throw that video out there. We're still working on Phoenix. She's 6-star. I'm still working on some gear and skill ups. But I'll be honest, I don't have the ascended materials to ascend her. And I'm like, oh, there's my OH10 DPS. What's going on? So I'll have that done in a couple of days, probably when the fire dungeon comes back up. But yeah, I'll show that video. It's just insane. But Camile is a great build unit, absolutely. If you need immunity on your team for arena defense or arena offense, right? Either or. Oh man, he's so good. All right, Lemon Drop. The Munchkins get some hate sometimes because they're so squishy. Lemon Drop is amazing. I love Lemon Drop. She does insane amount of damage because her skills are based on the enemy's max HP. Even though that's capped now based on attack, she's already like an attack champion. So if you're looking to build a pre-flight team and you have Lemon Drop, you need to 6-star. I just got my second Lemon Drop, and I'm 6-starring her now. Now, to be fair, I also got the Sniper and the Nature Vampire in the last summoning session, which was just painful in the beginning, but ramped up real quick, right? But that's the only reason I don't have 2 6-star versions of her, because she is hands down. She's just the burst damage that she can do with Bonbon Barrage, and just like Peppermint, the burst damage she can do is insane. Plus, because she's element neutral, guess what? I'm throwing her on my Demon King teams, dropping them all to like 31, 32 seconds. And because it's element neutral, it's the same team, and I'm investing the same gear. But from a gear perspective, Lemon Drop, like Peppermint, raises her crit 100% of the time when she's fully skilled. Her AI will keep her get hyper, raise crit skill up. So she is going to have that up all the time. It makes it a lot easier to build. And remember, Bonbon Barrage is an AoE. So, like I said, she's so good, man. She's so good. I would definitely build her. Especially if you're doing Elder Drake and you're looking for a way to pre-flight early game. Wow, this is it. 2 of these. I have a bunch of videos about pre-flight teams, but trust me, she's so good. I'm so happy with her. So I will tell you, so good. All right, Lu Wenhu. I don't have Lu Wenhu. I don't know anybody that's built Lu Wenhu. He's a spearman, so I will be really transparent. I hate the spearman because my first 6-star was the water spearman, because that's what Game Loft told me to do as a recommendation. So, and that was a horrible idea. So just in general, I hate all of the spearmen, and they actually got a buff previously. And it wasn't enough. They're not viable. They're cool to look at. Their skins are awesome. The animations are legit. I love a lot of the things that go into it, but this is a garbage unit. It's got to have a buff. Leave it there. Boom. Let's move on to Dako and Jarg. So there is a lot of opportunity, to say the least, with the Dino kits. They need some love. For real, they need a lot of love, because if you look at Dako, the amount of damage that he does and the way that he does the damage is a little tough, right? So I'll explain this a little bit in better detail. His auto attack shoots an enemy with his blowgun from a distance. That's the key, from a distance, ignoring 25% of the enemy defense. If the enemy is close, the dinosaur bites it instead. So once again, if the default is to shoot from a distance. If the enemy's close, it'll do a bite instead. Sounds great. When it does that bite, it ignores 50% of the enemy defense and healing for a portion of the damage dealt. So what you really want to do is have him constantly be chasing into the enemy to do that attack, because with that attack you heal and you get 50% off. Headbutt, a close range headbutt from the dinosaur that damages target enemy and knocks it down, instantly resetting the cooldown of tranquilizing dart, which is his third skill, and it deals additional damage and stuns the enemy, deals additional damage and stuns when the enemy lands. So once again, close attack, it ignores 25% of the enemy's defense, it stuns an enemy when the enemy falls down. Oh, that's great. It's going to heal itself because now it's going to be able to auto attack, which is fantastic. So if you move into tranquilizing dart, shoots a poison dart at a target enemy, deals damage, slows and lowers attack, ignores 25. There's just so much ignored damage. You're like, this is fantastic. I'm going to double debuff. I'm going to fear it. I'm going to do bonus damage, based on HP. I'm going to do a lot of, there's a lot of good stuff going on with the Dino Kid, right? And then his last skill is Ferocious Roar. Unleashes a mighty roar in a wide cone. Damages, slows, inflicts fear on enemies, ignoring 25% of the enemy's defense. And that's his ultimate, and it's really good. The ultimate is super good. It's almost like a lifesaver. It's like a panic button. Because basically it makes everybody run away in like bullet time because they're all slowed. So they run away from you really slow so that you can just annihilate them, right? Because they all stay in range. The problem with him is the AI sucks. So like I said, you want him to be close, right? You want him to be close, but what happens is if you watch him, he keeps trying to get distance, right? He keeps trying to step away. So you're losing all of this damage that you could be dealing if you just stayed close and kept attacking. So he'll actually, if you happen to be close, he'll attack, but then he'll try to get away to get the distance and use his other skills. And that just needs to be fixed. Otherwise, he's pretty good. So I would leave him in the box for now. Wait for them to fix the AI, and then move on. Now, if anybody has built Daco, and they have other comments about them, like down below, let me know. I have them. I like them, but like I said, in testing, that AI is real sketchy. So I know it's not on purpose, but it just doesn't synergize well with the skill sets that he has. Now let's talk about Boomer. Boomer is a lot like the Dino Kid. He looks good. His damage ignores shields, which is ginormous, right? The damage ignoring shields is great. I love the Dark Bomber, right? He's super fun to play. But the Light Bomber he doesn't deal enough damage, right? He needs a buff. Like, I know that it says ignore shields, but he needs to do more damage. If you're going to ignore the shields, make it important. Because, it just doesn't... It's not enough. Like for his chain reaction, for instance, fires a bouncing bomb at target enemy. When the bomb will explode, damaging enemies in a small area before bouncing to another enemy in range, and it can bounce up to 4 times. Each explosion affecting a wider area than the last. Now, I imagine that this would be super good on Dazzling, right, in Arena. But have you ever seen Boomer in Arena? Right? That's the point. Like, he's not A game. He's just not dealing enough damage. And especially when you have cool skills like the transphasic bomb, which is, you have him on the fire one as well. It's super, like, you want to be able to use them, right? Once again, that's why I'm saying with this video, Light is just, there's so many confusing points for Light because on paper they look so good. Oh, can I hurl a massive explode? Because massive usually means super big. And then on impact, it explodes with unstable energy, damaging enemies in a blast area and removing all buffs. Whoa, this guy strips. Like, once again, you should really be thinking he strips, he ignores shields, he has bouncing damage to do AO effect between multiple targets. He sounds like a great arena champion. But once again, he just doesn't deal enough damage. So he definitely has to have a buff. And especially as a 4-star light dark champion, those are so rare. I mean, the damage should be way, way, way up there. Because it's not going to unbalance the game. There's just not a lot of them. Kyo, I'm gonna say leave him in your box. Not because I'm not even gonna go through his skills. It's too hard to get skill ups and too hard to get gear. Put him in your box until you got those things. Haruko, the light magical girl, I want her, right? Because I really, first of all, she's the only one I don't have, so there's a kind of like a catch 'em all type of mentality. But I think that she's got some really interesting skills because she's a mage, she's a DPS champion. However, I've heard from people who have her and have her built that the damage isn't enough. I mean, she's got a self buff. She removes buffs, she blocks buffs, she raises attack. But I mean, she got skill cooldown reduction, but I just hear from people that she doesn't do enough damage. Now, I personally, I get it, but I want her anyway because I still think that she has a great role to play, much like Hoshi. I think she has a role. So maybe she's not going to be a DPS unit. Maybe she's not, but I want her. So with that caveat, I'm going to say build her. But once again, there's that caveat. I want her for those reasons, right? Ray of Justice. Think about this. Damages enemies when it explodes. It removes 2 buffs and it blocks buffs. That's exactly what Hoshi does, right? And we love Hoshi. Inspire. Blesses all allies with Inspire magic. Instant refreshes all of her skill cooldowns and lowers the skill cooldowns of affected allies. This blessing also raises attack. It's exactly what Hoshi does. And I understand that like her first activated skill, Ribbon Slash, is guaranteed crit. And it's supposed to, like, she's supposed to be dealing damage. And I know that she ignores defense on her first skill, which I think is legit. So man, I really think she's almost like an upgrade to Hoshi in my personal opinion. But like I said, I know a lot of people give her some hate. So in the comments below, if you agree with me and think that she's worth building, great. Give us some reasons. Let's change the idea around the community when it comes to her. But once again, she's super rare, right? Super rare to get. But man, I tell you, I want her bad. Because I think she would be so good. Element neutrality, definitely. If you have her and you like her, in the comments below, man, I hear a lot of I don't hear a lot of love for her. I think she deserves it. Man, the Nagas, man, leave them in your box. They need buffs for a lot of reasons, but not the least of which that there are other more easily accessible, more viable units than them that you should be investing in. They're just not that good. Beaumont, I'll be honest, you can go through him, you can look at him. He looks cool, but he doesn't synergize very well, so I would just leave him in the box. I think he needs a buff to really kind of solidify his role on the team, because he just doesn't really have like a solid like support debuff type of role for the team, and it's not the goodness that we would want from, once again, a 4-star champion. Oh, here he is, Dr. Milan. Nation is how memories are formed. Just as a today I learned, right? Man, he's not as good as Dr. Soma. Dr. Soma, once again, I think is like off the charts awesome. He's not like a triple S, but I mean, if you look at him, and I've done videos on him before, I think he's super cool. I don't think the same thing for Dr. Milan. I think he needs a buff. I don't think as a mage he does nearly enough damage in comparison to like the other people in the meta. Now I know that someone is thinking that the mark that he applies on his auto attack, which is insane, right, should be counted towards the extra damage that he does because it raises the amount of damage the rest of the team does. But remember, at a certain point, you are going to limit the champions on your team to certain roles, so they may not be built to do damage at all, and that little bit of boost that the mark gives isn't enough if he himself is not dealing out massive damage. Like, think about Aelia, right? Aelia marks, but she's also doing insane amounts of damage herself. Dr. Milan obviously is not going to perform at the same level of Alia, but even considering that, like, step it down and look at what he can do. He just needs a buffer on damage because he's just not holding his own as a damage dealer, despite that. And he's got some crowd control stuff in there, which is cool. But even in Ultimate Blitz, it doesn't shine because you have Savage, which is a 3-star champion who's dark, who has way better crowd control. So it's a little rough. Light B, if you got Light B, Bedelia, she's top of the tier. She's like S tier amazingness. She can basically carry teams. I don't know what to tell you. She is awesome. She was for the event, so she's a little bit more exclusive. So if you don't have her, maybe next year we'll see if she comes back around. But yeah, she's insane. If you've been holding on to her, I don't know what to tell you. Now this is not Light B, right? This is not like some evolution of the Light Beast. This was a special event Light B, or Queen B rather. So if you're new to the game, you probably didn't have access to it at that time, but she's the best of all of the Bs. She is stupid insane. Enmity, he's awful. Put him in the box. Xiaoshu, I think. I'm not sure. She's when it comes to the Snake Ladies, she is my second favorite Snake Lady after Changxia, the Dark Snake Lady. I like her. She stacks up to 5 OGD, and that's just enough OGD stacks. Even though they're not as long, it's as like, say, the Siege Towers, she stacks just enough OGD stacks to actually make her impactful, plus she does decent damage. So if you are looking for a champion to build that's going to do some OGD, maybe for your Ascended raids, and you want her to be able to do some DPS as well, she does that. She does really good. I'd love for them to get another buff, but I understand they're already pretty good. Maeve, I hear a lot of good stuff about Maeve, and I hear that because she has a lot of support skills, and she's a tank, right? So if you look at her basic attack pummel, she can lower attack every 6, or she can lower the attack power every 6 attacks. That's pretty solid, right? She lowers defense. If an enemy is already defense lowered, she stuns. She has a psychic shield, and every time an enemy attacks, it removes 1 buff from the enemy. Super good. She has a fear. So when you're thinking about her, you're thinking, hey, she's going to be great in Ultimate Blitz. That's the thing. On paper, she looks super good, right? And I hear a lot of people really like her. But if you want to build her, I think you're taking a chance, because if you look at the synergies of some of the Ultimate Blitz teams that we've talked about, you usually have Rona on that team. She's a far superior stripper, right? And you have Light Archangel, who provides a shield for everybody that's far superior to Maeve's. And then from a crowd control standpoint, Fear pushes people away, whereas Provoke, which is what Savage, the 3-star Dark Champion, and the Water, I forget what his name is, but the Water Berserker, also has Provoke that's basically up 100% of the time if you have skill cooldown reduction on your team. And that brings everybody together, which concentrates your AoE attacks onto everybody instead of you having to chase everybody down. And it makes beating those waves a lot easier. So once again, on paper, looks pretty good. She does a good job from what I hear. But I would leave her in your box. Focus on the easier to obtain, easier to skill up, easier to gear units, like the Dark and Water Scan Berserker, the Water Crow Hag, your fusible Light Archangel. I mean, if you look at that, like, those units, because of the synergy they have together, are just better. She wouldn't add anything to that group because she does a lot of the same stuff they do. Ellie, there's just not a lot of feedback on Ellie. On paper, she blocks buffs. She does lower attack. She blinds. I have the idea in my head that because she's a mage and she does the things, she would be amazing and super great in OH, but it's super hard to test because we don't have her. So she's a project or a toy. So you really have to spend some time testing her out. So I would say leave her in your box until you're at that point in your progression where you can just go hog wild and just build crazy stuff, right? At least until there's more feedback, right? There's just not a lot of feedback around this champion. I think she'd be good, but she requires skill ups. Skill ups are super tough to get for any of the technicians, because they just, for whatever reason, they just don't drop as much as, say, like the Snake Ladies. Naven, he's great, especially in 5v5. I hate this dude in 5v5. But he's not like an all-around champion. Like, he's not going to be good everywhere, right? Like in 5v5s, I hate seeing him, right? He's got some great skills from that standpoint, but if it's him or Sharma, you know, Sharma's a better champion, right? If it's him or the Greater Demons are better champions for the lead position, right? Because he has cooldowns of 15%. He does the Temporal Void, which stuns. He does the Ripple Bomb, which slows. And then he has the lower attack, raise attack speed of allies, which is super great, but it's not attack power, it raises attack speeds. Sorry about that little technical difficulty. But like I was saying, I think Naven is a great champ, definitely worth building. But like I said, he has a very specific role. I actually would love to get him because I want to use him on a fairy team, right? I want to use him in the fairy team because he does the attack speed buff, right? And he does the skill cooldowns. I'd really like to use him for that. See, I don't know. I'm sorry. I was just thinking. I was like theory crafting in my head, but yeah, I think he's a great champion. Definitely worth the build. And now we have the Light Cleric. Light Cleric's OP. I don't know. It's the Light Cleric's seriously great. So Radiant Magic, sure, it does damage, whatever. She's an amazing support champion, so you're not looking for damage. Because, I mean, just think about it. Her passive is when an ally is about to receive a critical hit. You give a shield, and then it gets the hit, right? So that can only be effective every 5 seconds. So just think about that. They get a shield right before they get a critical hit. That's not helpful at all. Smite. Summons a ray of light to diminish her enemies, deals damage, and shreds defense on every target in the area. Oh, and AoE shreds defense. Okay. Her third skill, just periodically heals, adds stacks of toughness to everybody. Okay, that's like an AoE heal buff. Okay, cool. That's great. That's awesome. And then of course you have cast a holy spell on the battlefield, heals, removes all debuffs from herself and all of the allies. If healing a target will make it go over its max HP, the excess healing is converted into a shield. Now that I talked about this before, but I love that, right? I love that because finally you have you're not wasting your ultimates, right? Because if your ultimate only heals, if you already have a shield from your Archangel on there, you may not be taking damage at all, right? So the heal doesn't do any good because the Archangel shield is up. But let's, for instance, say, hey, you heal, the Archangel shield got 1 hit point left, and then the boss bursts through that, does all this damage. Well, the heal you just did is wasted, so now you're back on the cooldown time, as opposed to now, she heals and then goes over, oh, no damage? Cool, bro. I'm going to go ahead and give you another shield. So that's super nice. Now, I will tell you, I don't think Gabriel is as good as the Nature Cleric. I think the Nature Cleric, for what it does, is just insanely OP. Especially with a lot of skill cooldown reduction. Or other, like Camile. If you had Camile and the Nature Cleric together, it's just like the immunity is just gross, right? But I still think Gabriel's a great champion, and you should definitely build her. Now, in the comments below, school me if I, made some judgments that you don't agree with, or if there's input that you have from actually having built the champion, let the community know. I'd much rather have great information out there than bad information, because there's a limited amount of time and resources you have with this game to get as far as you can and to have as much fun as you can. So, as always, thanks for watching the videos. Have a great day.